Let's get right to it. Bill O'Reilly, the top host on the top show on the top network in American network TV. Fox News just turned 15. And the O'Reilly Factor, the no-spin zone, is number one. Bill O'Reilly's out with a new book, Killing Lincoln. So why did he write it?
We're in big trouble down here. America's on the decline, and we need some very strong leadership. It's not a knock on Obama or Bush or Clinton, but we need some superlative leadership. So I thought, who is the gold standard for American leadership? Who had the most to overcome in his presidency? Abraham Lincoln. So I'm a history major, former history high school teacher. So I decided to write a book about the last 2 weeks of Lincoln's life because it encapsulates all his leadership qualities and all the things that were going around that he had to overcome. And that's what Killing Lincoln is made of.
Now, Obama said he'd been reading all about Lincoln before he became president. So I want to ask you, as a former teacher, is Barack Obama a good student of Lincoln? Is he practicing what Lincoln was preaching?
Hard to say, but here's an interesting story. When I interviewed the president on Super Bowl Sunday, after the interview took place in the White House, we discussed Abraham Lincoln, and he took me up to the Lincoln bedroom, where there is the Gettysburg Address written in Lincoln's hand and make you cry. I mean, it's amazing. And he showed it to me, very gracious of the president. And we talked a little bit about Abraham Lincoln and what he brought to the country. So I know that Mr. Obama is a student, and so was Mr. Bush, because I also discussed Abraham Lincoln with him. But it's, you know, that's a standard that it's almost impossible to measure up to. I think we all have to aspire to that.
Is he closer to Jimmy Carter than he is to Abe Lincoln?
Hard to say. I want to be fair to the president. Absolutely, he's having a very difficult time with the economy. He's doing well in the war on terror. But the economy is not where it should be, and we're running up a massive debt down here in the USA. In fact, Canada manages its finances a lot better than the USA does.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because you're often criticized up in our country for being anti-Canadian. Some of that is probably comments that were made after 9/11. But I want to go right for the Canadian-American Sun News connection with Fox. We are called by our critics Fox News North. So I just want to ask you, Bill O'Reilly, have you ever shared your talking points with me?
No. I mean, look, most of the people, from my understanding, and I've been to Canada many times. I was up in Quebec for their anniversary a couple of years ago. They never watch Fox News, Charles. You must know that. They don't watch me. They don't know what I'm saying. It's mostly the Eastern Toronto-based press that just spits this stuff out. If you're not a far-left ideologue, they're going to try to demonize you. We don't take it seriously down here, and certainly you shouldn't up there. I mean, whatever these people say is not coming from anything other than an ideological perspective.
Now, you have been defying the critics over the years and becoming number one. They never thought this would happen. You celebrated your 15th anniversary. Fox News did 15 years ago. What's the secret? What have you done to be able to connect with the folks that you're looking out for to stymie the critics over the last 15 years? What's the recipe?
I think it has to do with authenticity first. I'm who I am. I'm the same off as I am on TV, which is a tragedy for people who know me in person. There's an authenticity that I bring to the broadcast. We're an honest broadcast. If we make a mistake, we say it. We have a wide variety of opinion on this broadcast. We want to hear opposing points of view, lively, robust debate. I mean, we reflect every night, Charles, what America's talking about. We're right in on the emotion of the day. So I think that's what drives our success.
Now, one of the things that my countrymen talk about is the decline of America. A lot of people in this country believe that America is in decline. I know that a lot of Americans believe the same thing. Now, for purely practical reasons, we don't want that to happen because you're buying 3/4 of what we have. We like it when the check's clear, Bill. We want that to continue.
And I understand that. And I think Canada and America have so much in common, not just economics, but culturally, historically, and all those things that we should root for each other. But we are in decline here. There's no doubt about it. We have a record massive debt. We don't see any way out of our unemployment situation at this point. The polarized country between conservatives and liberals. So this isn't the greatest time for America, which is why I wanted to remind everybody about Abraham Lincoln. He had it worse, yet he overcame, and he won in the end, even though he lost his life.
Did Abe Lincoln ever have to deal with Daryl Hannah? I know you think of her as a pinhead. So do many of us. We're trying to sell you as much oil as possible.
You got me wrong on Daryl Hannah. She's an environmentalist. She's a good, well-intentioned woman. I don't have any problem with her. She's upfront. What you see is what you get. The people that I don't like and the people that I go after are the liars and the charlatans and the people who try to harm you, want to personally hurt you if you disagree with them. Those are the people that come in our zone and get hammered here.
Well, one of the reasons we're a little ticked off with Daryl Hannah and her ilk is because they seem to want to get in the way of that pipeline. We want to sell you as much energy as possible. We want you to be as energy independent as possible. And so we're asking you, what is it that, whether you want to call her a pinhead or not, what is it that you can do, Bill O'Reilly, to make that XL pipeline happen a little bit faster?
Well, I put her on the program a few weeks ago, and we did talk about that very subject. And I told her that, she was wrong, that this would provide many, many jobs for the USA, and it would be good for the economy. And there's no... Look, we're all sensitive to the environmental issue. I think you're sensitive to it up there. We're sensitive to it down here. But there comes a point where you safeguard the environment as much as you can, but you have to have progress. And the pipeline is one example. So you heard what Daryl Hannah had to say on his broadcast. You heard what I had to say. And, that pipeline is going to happen, I think.
Herman Cain. I say Herman Cain. Bill O'Reilly says...
I like Herman Cain. I don't think he's going to be the nominee. I don't think he has the infrastructure to compete with Romney at this point, or even Perry. I think Barack Obama wants to run against Herman Cain because he believes that independents are less likely to vote for Cain than, say, a moderate like Romney. Independents really decide the elections now in America. So, we like Cain. We think that he's feisty and he presents himself well. He doesn't back down. I like some of the things he said. I don't agree with everything, but if I had to bet, I don't think he'll get the nomination.
Now, you said a long, long time ago that Mitt Romney was going to be the next Republican nominee. Why is it that in many of the polls he hits that wall at 25%, which leads a lot of people to believe that once all of the other conservatives are off the stage, a conservative like Herman Cain ends up sopping it up? Just give me the math on this, would you?
Well, the polls basically reflect the Republican primary voters who tend to be very conservative, so obviously they're going to go for a more conservative guy than Romney. That's number one. But if you look at the matchup polls between Romney and Obama, it's either a dead heat or Romney wins. And then once people see the contrast to President Obama and a guy like Mitt Romney, I'm not rooting for Mitt Romney, by the way. I don't endorse candidates. I don't do that. I watch them all. All right? I'm not endorsing anybody. But if Romney runs as America's CEO, that I, because of my private business experience, can turn the country around, if he runs that way, it's going to be hard for President Obama to beat him. So, establishment Republicans, I think, believe that Romney's the best chance to get the White House back.
Now, if Romney loses in Iowa, wins in New Hampshire, but loses in South Carolina, what will the spin be?
There can't be any spin. You either win or you lose. So Romney has to get down to Florida after that and win there, or he's done. But that's the same with any candidate. I mean, you're going to have to pick up momentum somewhere. Not too big. Look, anything can happen in Iowa. It's a very small sample. New Hampshire, Romney's ahead by legions. He's a hometown guy. He's got a house on Lake Winnipesaukee there. So he wins New Hampshire. South Carolina, going to be a shootout, but, I think Romney's organization is pretty good there. He's got a shot at it. And Florida, he's got to win that. He would have to win that if he wants a nomination.
Occupy Wall Street. What say you?
They're pinheads, most of them. They want to tear down the country, far left element. There was a survey done, an article today in the Wall Street Journal lays it out. Most of them believe that the government has a moral obligation to provide cradle-to-grave entitlements, including college education. Simply can't afford that in a nation of 330 million people. We're already bankrupt down here. They're far-left people. 33% of them, 31% of them believe that violence is necessary to overturn our system. So that's a marginalized group. I think it's going to die out.
What happens when someone comes along in America and says, well, there's a consensus for minimum wage. Maybe there ought to be a consensus for maximum wage. Maybe that's a way of dealing with greed. CEOs can only make a certain amount of money. Talk show hosts can only make a certain amount of money. If someone comes along and says that, will he be a pinhead or a patriot?
Well, I'd be a pinhead because that's not our system here. We're not a quasi-socialistic country. We're a capitalist country. And capitalism provides the most opportunity for the most people to prosper. Is it a fair system? Not always. But it's the best system on earth. Gives them, guy like me came out of nowhere. I didn't have any money. My parents were working class people. So, here I am. Do I want some pinhead in Washington telling me how much money I can make? That's insane. If that happens, I'll move to the Caymans.
Bill O'Reilly, when China moves ahead of the USA, what will America's #1 talk show host say about the USA and the world?
It just depends. Look, the Chinese with 1.5 billion people should be the world's biggest economy, should they not? We have 330 million. They have 1.5 billion. So do the math. So, look, China, tough bunch of people. They're quasi-communists. Then they're capitalists. It depends what day it is and what city you're in. But we'll take it. We'll take it every incident. We'll look at it and we'll do it fairly. But we got to pay attention to China. There's no question that those boys are tough guys. I don't think they're looking out for us, even though they're invested heavily in the United States.